All right, here we are, side 2 of Dashboard Ditties, and this one is once again featuring Uncle Stevie Kaufman talking live and in person at the Jackson Factory NAMM show sales meeting. This is the memories of the introduction of the new Charvel electric guitar lineup.
Da-da, da-da-da-da. We wish we could have had, the theme from 2001, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. But welcome to the new Charvel. Please note the continuation of the theme carried in the current advertising in the guitar-oriented magazines. The original. You all know where the headstock came from? You all know where the squared-off body shapes originated and the soloist style. So, once again, we're starting to pound that theme. We've been pounding it in some of the smaller advertising that we're doing right now, and it will be pounded. We will get that thought across. People have gotten too blasé about it. Everybody assumes that everybody knows that Jackson Charvel was the originator. There are enough 13, 14, and 15-year-old kids out there who don't know it. We've got to educate them again. You'll notice the presence of the Jackson amp in there. Once again, for the reinforcement, for the tie-in between the brands. Jackson amp. Notice the finish. We'll go into that later on the guitar. Also, you'll notice on the amp, which we missed in our amp presentation, that the grill has been updated. So it's not the same kind of cement lapping type grill that was there before, which you rip your hands open on, but a much more updated, high-tech looking, serves a purpose along the lines of a Mesa Boogie grill as well. It's an overall more expensive feel and look. The title page of the new catalog. This intro page, this catalog, by the way, is a temporary catalog. It was done to get us through this show, introduce the new models, and get us going. There are actually 2 models missing from this presentation, but we'll cover that afterward. And you'll see, once again, along the IMC tradition of outlining and showing our features and highlight points, that the opening page shows some of the significant changes in the product line. Basically, the new bridge, which we'll get into a little bit more depth, things like the new logo, wrench holder, sculptured heel joint. I'm going to run through this, and then we'll go through specifics and questions with actual product in our hands. The new logo, especially after what we've just succeeded in doing into the marketplace, which was taking the old Charvel models, cutting their prices in just about half, and bombing them out there. We needed a way to separate the old from the new, not only because of that price drop that we just did, but for image and credibility as well, that we're alive, happening, and that the same old models that everybody's been looking at for the last 2.5 years is not going to happen again. 0 fret nut. As some of you have seen, it started to appear on the 3DRs already in past. It's something all of you have asked for. It's the way the entire marketplace has gone. Just about the only place you see behind the nuts left out there are on less expensive instruments. I'm not going to debate its merits at this point. We all know from standing in front of our dealers it is the preferred route. So we're not going to fight them, we're going to join them, as well as the fact that it happens to be the right way to go. The new bridge, which unfortunately didn't come out very clear in this picture, but it is manufactured by Schaller. It is in all respects a 100% Floyd Rose equivalent bridge. As a matter of fact, you can take, let me go back one. See those nut pads or the pads that hold and lock the strings down? You can take those off, walk into a Floyd Rose dealer who sells Floyd Rose spare parts, buy a Floyd Rose original replacement part, and put it on there, and it fits 100%. So that makes the plex of getting spare parts that you get lost occasionally, like the string block locks, all replaceable from existing stocks of Floyd Rose dealers, of Floyd Rose original parts replacement dealers. I'll show you and demonstrate the new tremolo arm on the bridge itself, which is a screw-on and off arm, which has a lot more firmness into the base plate, which was one of the big complaints that we've had about the old bridge, that the arm rattled, rocked around. Sometimes the bushings, the nylon bushings, were too big. Sometimes they were too small. The sculptured heel joint. Anybody know what this is for? Well, yes, the back plate will continue to. We haven't abandoned that logo. That logo will still be used on electronics and for company image, in print media and things like that. The big change is on the headstocks. There's been a lot of time in developing that logo and that image. Okay, we're not looking to abandon it. We're looking to make the instruments themselves more visible on stage and identifiable from the old to the new. And most of you who muttered were right. What that sculptured heel joint does do is it allows easier hand access up to the higher frets of the guitar, as well as the fact you don't have to stretch from your thumb to your palm quite as great to get around the heel when you are playing the upper frets. So it actually does relieve some amount of hand tension for those guys who play up high.
Steven?
Yes?
I noticed that the serial numbers on the back plate on that. Is that the way it's going to be? Or are we going to be stamping the serial numbers into the wood now?
The serial numbers will be stamped into the wood on neck-through and set neck models. We're investigating a methodology of stamping the serial number firmly into the headstock or the end of the fingerboard as well as bolt-ons. But quite frankly, we haven't come up with a methodology yet. So for the moment, bolt-ons will still be neck plate, and what we're trying to get done at the factory is to have that same serial number written or stamped into the heel of the neck where it doesn't show, which will help tracking bootlegs and things like that. But more than that, it'll be able to tell if the body is the original body that came with the guitar in the same neck.
My concern is bootlegging from dealer to dealer.
With taking the neck plate off and just putting a normal one on.
That's right.
That's why we're trying to get it stamped into the neck as well.
But if it's stamped in an area where you can't see it, it doesn't seem to do us much good.
Well, if we're really serious about it and shopping our bootleggers, we'll find it. The problem is,
Take the guitar apart to get to it?
yeah, you just got to pull the 4 neck screws.
Well, less talk.
Okay, I agree. But trying to paint over or stamp through an already painted surface with the numbers does not work. The wrench lock, seeing as how this bridge does require 2 different size wrenches, unlike its predecessor, what we have done is we have finally put a wrench holder on the back of the headstock for convenience. Okay, here we go. Basically, the new line is broken down into 4 different groups of instruments. And the first is the Classic Series. The Classic Series, basically, is a rundown and rendition of existing models that used to exist in the line in updated version, hence the Classic Series. However, this one is totally new. This is your Model 275. It is the one guitar in the line that maintains the JT6 bridge. However, it uses the 0 fret nut. Its pickup configuration is very similar to the 3DR with the absence of a tone control. It's a very sleek, cut-down, utilitarian instrument that happens to come, as you can see in the top corner there, some of our newer and brighter colors, including the violet. The neat thing about this guitar is it is the first time a $599 list price Charvel has been available with the right sets of bells and whistles. The company's tried that price point before, but it's been with a vintage bridge. There's always been something that's been a compromise. There's no compromise in this instrument whatsoever. Okay, we have the Model 375 Deluxe. Model 375 simply because it's the predecessor of the Model 3, so we made sure we got the 3 in there to try and jog your memory. Notice that the body shape's been changed. The old Charvel line, which we got a lot of flack about and a lot of negative feedback, more than being a follow-through of the image that Jackson had developed, was more a line of Stratocaster or modern Stratocaster copies. So other than the 275, which was done for price point, for here on out, you will only see Jackson Charvel proprietary style bodies on the Charvel line. Every other manufacturer out there, from Ibanez to Peavey to Kramer, has made their lock, stock, and trade these days on square-edged, soloist, or dinky-style bodies. But what was Charvel doing? It was copying Stratocasters. So we have finally taken back the proprietary image that belongs to us by offering what we should have been offering. Notice that the 375 now is the one of the two models, there's actually 4 total, but in the Classic series is one of the 2 models that comes in maple neck option. In past, we had offered the Model 4 in the maple neck option, which didn't make a lot of sense if you think about it, because why offer the 4, which has the Jackson inlays, in the maple neck? When they bought the maple neck option, they paid the same price, but they didn't get the inlays. So we've gone ahead and done the same thing, and made the Model 3 have the maple neck option, because that way the inlays stay the same and therefore the price stays the same, and I won't have to listen to the dealer telling us, yeah, but I'm paying the same price for the instrument, but I'm not getting those wonderful pearl inlays anymore. So now that makes a bit of sense. Once again, all of the bells and whistles, and you can see up in the left-hand corner, which doesn't show, which I'll show you in real life in a moment, the new platinum finish, as well as the bottom right-hand corner, that these instruments, see if this worked, nope, that these instruments now have wood, natural wood finished flamed body options. The 3 and 4 both have them. You'll have the price list in front of you. I don't believe I have any of the options, any of those samples here to actually look at. They will be at the trade show. So now your Model 375 comes with maple neck option or exotic bodywood option. And without having my price list in front of me, because all of this is so new, I believe your Model 375 now lists price at $699, which for a guitar with all the bells and whistles. Yes. It's actually a Model 3 is what it is, with a revised body shape, sculptured heel joint, 0 fret nut, new bridge, new body shape. If I. It is a different bridge. Yes. No, okay. From here on out, the only model that has the JT6, which is the old style Jackson bridge, is the 275. Everything from there on up has the new bridge. Yes, and they're all recessed. Also, another thing that's hard to see from pictures, or unless you're a player yourself to play the instrument, all of these instruments have 0 neck pitch. In other words, there's no angle off the body, which is one of the reasons the bridge can sit lower and sit recessed in there to be pulled back. But it does make for a more even feeling instrument all the way up and down the fingerboard.
Will this new bridge fit on the same post size as the JT6?
Theoretically, it is supposed to. I have not done it myself yet, so I can't answer it. I currently had 2 people do it for me, and I have totally conflicting reports. One says it works great, one says it doesn't. Well, again, I have another report from someone else who says it works great and they're using it every night. Yes, replacement parts for these will be a lot easier, because unlike the JT6 with the old string lock, which we all know breaks every other week, and we've been shipping to the tune of almost 200 replacement locks a week on those things, there's nothing to break as far as string locks. If somebody over-tightens these things, just like a Floyd Rose, they will crack them. We'll honor them under warranty, and spare parts are on the way in with the guitars or from the supplier of the bridge. But the thing you need to remember is the string lock itself in the saddle, that little metal block, retrofits and replaces for a Floyd Rose part. I know that works. I've done it myself. As well as the other part that often breaks only because of bad use and bad care and over-tightening are the nut pads. And Floyd Rose nut pads will retrofit and fit. And we all know that Kramer, in that respect, has done one thing a little better than we ever did, and they've made accessible through a large dealer network replacement parts. I hate to tell our customers to go in there and give Kramer a dime for anything, but when the guy's in an emergency or he's turned his guitar over while he had the strings off and he's lost his little block, they're easily obtainable because Kramer has done that work for us. We'll go match him at it, but we're just in the middle of introducing this. But that is a way out if the emergency happens. We are in the process. I haven't even gotten the guitars fully in and going yet. The parts replacement kit will come. But right now, what I'm saying is while all those Kramer parts replacement kits are out there in those dealers, rather than get in a bind or get in trouble or have some guy moaning at his dealer that he's got to wait a week for us to turn around and mail him back and forth $1 part, he can walk in and buy one. I was talking to Henry and Stewart at Manny's, who are unfortunately not Charvel dealers, but Kramer dealers. Currently, one of their best-selling items over the counter every day, and their most profitable items, is they've been selling Floyd Rose Allen wrenches. You know, those little stupid Allen keys? They charge $2 a piece for them. At manufacturer's cost, we pay about 2 cents for them. They're selling roughly 400 of them a week. You figure it out. We will get to that stage. We want that business direct to us. It'll have its little Charvel Seeds logo on it. I'm not trying to avoid that issue. All I'm trying to let you know is there's no reason to have an irate customer as we start delivering these things. The Model 475 Special. This is your updated Model 4. Active electronics still, Jackson inlays still, but once again, new inlays, new logo, 0 fret nut, sculptured heel, recessed bridge for pullback, and the one thing that you can't really see in this photo is the new Desert Crackle finish.
Is this a bolt-on?
Yes.
Does that have binding?
The neck on the Model 4, or 475, as it is currently known, now has a binding on a bolt-on neck.
What about coil cap switch? You don't have that on there.
No, we do not, because those are active pickups. You coil tap an active pickup that's whole purpose is being, you know, a humbucking pickup, quiet, and you take away the whole advantage of the pickup. Those are those bi-level J200 pickups. Yes, and also, right, thank you, Chuck, I had slipped on that. We had gotten 50-50 reaction on this. A lot of guys liked the minis because they thought it was cool, but the common reaction that we hit amongst players was the fact that the 5-way was quicker. So that's what we stuck with. We're building guitars for players, not to write ad copy about. Oops, sorry. I told you, I need an engineer. There's a little bit better close-up on the exotic wood finish optional body. Yes, bolt-on. You'll also notice you can see in this picture a little bit clearer the recess behind the bridge, but we'll look at guitars shortly. Okay, what we've done, as we all know, Charvel basses, even in our best days of Charvel, have only been moderately successful. I can't answer you why yet. All of you seem to have your own set of opinions, from bulbous neck shapes to the fact that when we released them, the Fender P-Bass reigned supreme. Now that's changing and we have a better shot. Everybody's got a different attitude. The neck shapes did get clubby. There is legitimacy, and the Fender thing reigned supreme at that point and is now dying down. My own opinion from trying to be objective and being an outside competitor to this product line in past, and then coming in-house and looking at it, is that there were way too many basses, and it was extremely confusing that once again we had followed the old IMC philosophy of having a product for every price point, whether there was a need for that product or not. So right now we have one bass. This bass, for all intensive purposes, what's going on behind my back?
Nothing, I just love you.
Okay. I thought I was getting donkey ears or something in the dark. This is, for all intensive purposes, your 1B, your 2B, and your 4B. It has a combination of all of those features all wrapped up in one at a $599 price point. Okay? Go on. What do you want? I did it again. No, I didn't. I got it right. Here it comes. This particular group, I feel like my babies, because this was the one place that IMC product lines all the way across the board, and especially Charvel, had missed out. As you guys who are out there in the field, who have been getting pounced on, whether it be Kramer Night Swans or Ibanez's, or even out here in the West, some of the new Music Man guitars, even Carvin had been hip enough to jump onto it. There's a phenomena out there. People don't discuss it in terms of it being a phenomena, but for the first time in years and years and years, there's really a new style instrument out there. It doesn't look any different, but it's a 24-fret bolt-on instrument with shorter scale length. It is a pretty unique animal compared to the history of electric guitars at this point. And it was missing big time in our product lines. We've got them now. We've called them the Fusion series because most of the guys who are out front who are associated with 24-fret bolt-on guitars with the shorter scale length, which have lighter tension, are associated with the new hype, high-energy, fusoid type music. So we kind of stole the moniker and went with it. You have two models here. You've got your Fusion Deluxe, which is available in maple. Again, you have that option. The neat thing about this guitar, other than the scale length and the overall lighter tension that it offers, you'll notice that the contours are a bit sculpted. It's got all the other neat features of sculpted heel joints, recessed bridges, but this shows the appearance, introduction of something else that's new for Charvel at this point. You notice the neck or the single coil style pickups on these guitars are something new. They're a single coil size pickup, but they're side-by-side humbucking. Similar to a Seymour Duncan hot rail. I personally can't stand the way hot rails sound. They sound more like old-style P90s, and it's not an appropriate sound for the format of the pickup. But however, the construction technique and idea is something that makes a lot of sense, especially in a hum single guitar, where you get into some buzz problems with the standard single coil. We've spent a lot of time tapering and toning down and winding and changing magnets and coming up with a pickup that would have the right sound for a neck pickup, still maintain its single coil type sound, and yet have the output to keep up with the humbucker in the bridge position without any blaring volume mismatch, as well as the fact, for the obvious reason, that it's quiet. I think we've succeeded big time. And that's the new pickup you find in the Fusion series. The Fusion Custom up top, there's my platinum finish again, you'll notice has basically the addition of a middle pickup, is not available with maple. We kept that to the deluxe only. And is essentially the same guitar except in the hum single configuration. You will notice price point on these instruments again. We hit $699 for the deluxe in standard finishes and $799 for the Fusion Custom in standard finishes. This puts us squarely in the face of those Ibanez folks who have been taking this kind of product and starting to really get heavy-handed in the market with it. True, they do start in with one model lower than this at a $599 price point, but on our Charvet line, don't forget, we've got a $419 and a $429, so we blow them away down on the bottom there. Kramer, one of the few models that seems to be still working for them and has hype and validity in the market, even though until Whitesnake comes back on the road it's a little quieter right now, is the Night Swan. The Night Swan lists at $12.95 or $13.95, forgive my memory right now, and is for all intensive purposes the same guitar as a Fusion Deluxe except with that wacky two humbuckers shoved in the middle over there that absolutely nobody can seem to get a sound out of, except, you know, Vivian Campbell, who plays the thing. Recently, in a guitar player interview, the guy who did the interview said the sounds were really neat and interesting, and he was surprised what came out of it. But by and large, the neck pickup or the middle pickup where they've placed it is useless for most guys playing. And for any of the guys who do have a lot of attack in their playing, the pickup on a Night Swan is just squarely in the way of your pick stroke. Thank you. So basically what you come up with is a Kramer eater for almost half the price. And we all know that Charvel quality has always been superior to everybody on the marketplace in our price range or higher, and none of that has been lost in this new product line. It's been maintained.
The maple is a maple neck?
Yes. Okay. Oops, I did it again. Yes.
My understanding that the Vivian Campbell is, even though it is under the Kramer American series, it's not actually a USA product.
It is made, well, let me say this, because I haven't been quite in the picture now, but as of 3.5, 4 months ago, because I'm still in touch with those people, it was entirely, now it's not our place to go call them a liar, but I happen to have worked and been VP of a company that made those guitars. And as of 3.5 or 4 months ago, I used to go over to Japan every other month or so and see them being made at the ESP factory.
See what?
The Kramer Night Swan.
Just wanted that to be on tape.
Okay. Which they claim, I didn't want it on tape. Once again, here's just a little bit more of an array.
There's also the body cutaway for upper fret.
Yes.
Lower horn.
Yes, indeedy.
Steve, are these the same exact neck?
No.
Yes and thickness and all?
No, the radius is the same. We have gone, let me just go back here for a minute. Okay. Just let me check one thing out so I'm not confused. Okay, great. The radius on the fingerboard, sorry folks, that was for me. The radius on the fingerboard is as you read, when we turn on the lights and your eyes straighten out, I'd like you all to take a second and read the opening paragraph in that catalog, because it's very telling. I've made a couple of you do it already. But the descending radius or compound radius, which is unique to Jackson no longer because so many other manufacturers are following it through, is maintained. However, what we have done is we've made a valiant effort, and you'll see it more than in these samples in the production guitars that get shipped, to get back to the old original Charvel, Jackson Charvel, American-produced Charvel neck shape. I have personally caught 2 Ibanez reps in dealers selling their new wares with this phrase. And this new neck, it's more like a Charvel than a Charvel is. I think some of you guys have heard that as well. They went overboard. In the process of trying to catch that old Charvel vibe, they made them too thin and they're folding up. That series of Ibanez instruments is making repairmen across the country very happy right now, because they are having a lot of problems with them for going so thin. I'm not going to promise you we've gone back to 100% as thin as Grover used to do them when he was hand making them and had a much better and easier time of selecting the wood because he was building fewer instruments. We've come up with a little bit of a compromise that may be a hair's bigger than they used to be, but no longer will they be up to the size of where they were when Charvel started to get in trouble out there in the marketplace.
Bass, how about the bass?
The bass as well. All the basses. As again, the 1B, 2B, 4B bass, or the 550 bass, as it's a combination of all those basses, isn't a combination of all of those neck shapes. It's something new and revised. Okay, just a little bit of a close-up look of one instrument on the Fusion series up and down, where all of its little bells and whistles are kind of real clear. It's supposed to be a 5-way. I must confess that whatever the catalog says at this point is what we're going to go with. There was some confusion between myself and the factory and Grover and the factory when we were speccing these things out. We had a glitch in one of the spec charts, and I must confess that I honestly, at this point, don't know what's actually there. It's supposed to be a 5-way.